I hope that by now you have gelled up with the process of online teaching and learning and the course content. So, in this module or in this whole lecture, we are again going to take up the topic roles and responsibilities of teacher in higher education. Now, the first part of this topic, which was delivered by Dr. Shruti Jain. So, Dr. Jain very eloquently discussed every aspect, every nitty gritty of what are the areas in which we are responsible or we are accountable to the university, to the college, or to our students, and what are the areas where we could learn or improve. Now, this leaves not much for me to say, but when I took up this topic, there were precisely two things which I wanted to focus upon. And in the next 60 minutes or so, we'll try to do that. But before we begin, I would like to admit or rather confess that I am no expert in this area and I stand on the shoulders of giants. So most of the insights in this module has been taken from the lectures and writings of teachers like Bell Hooks, Toni Morrison, and professors like Krishna Kumar, Upendra Bakshi, Ujjwal Kumar Singh, Anupma Roy, and every other teacher who has been and is a part of my journey. If we have to understand this institution of teaching or the practice of teaching or what it entails to be a teacher, then there could be as many conceptions as there are teachers in this whole universe. If we only look at the historical trajectory of teaching in ancient and medieval India, then you will find that there are a number of school of thoughts talking about the ever-changing relationship of teacher and student. But interestingly, what has remained constant in these schools or even till now is that this institution of teaching is considered to be as one of the most revered jobs on earth. And this is what our session aims to talk about today. What does it mean to be a teacher? Are we really the sages on the stage who must know it all? Or for once, can we assume the role of guide on the side who can just mentor our students and guide them in their endeavor? To probe deeper into this, the whole session is divided into four small segments. The first segment highlights the shift from traditional classroom setting to that of a student-centric learning environment. The second segment is about constructing, or rather deconstructing, the role of a teacher from that of a saint to one of a co-learner. The third segment talks about the responsibility of a teacher to build an inclusive classroom. And in the final segment, we hear it directly from the people for whom we all are here, our students. What do they have to say about being a good teacher and their qualities? When we ask the question, what do we really mean by the role of being a teacher, there are many images which can come to our mind. Answers could vary from teaching being an enabling process, where teaching is regarded as an activity consisting in helping others to learn, or as an ideological process, where the practice of teaching can be supportive or subversive of the power systems around us. Many a times we also look at teaching as somewhat of a professional process where we only teach to prepare our students for jobs or for the markets. Apart from these, we surely have other roles of teachers as being a good administrator, as was discussed in part 1, a good communicator, and if I may add, a good entertainer. Yes, we, no matter what and no matter at what level, our teacher needs to be an entertainer to keep up with the receptivity of the students. We need to devise ways in which we can entertain students. I doubt I would have remembered the play Merchant of Venice had it not been for the storytelling skills of my literature teacher. Or the subject Cold War would have been boring for me if my teacher wouldn't have taught me through famous anecdotes around this topic. So, teacher being an entertainer is quite important. But if we look at the traditional view of teacher, then we just see teacher as someone who will give us knowledge. To make it more vivid, let's imagine two scenarios. So here is scenario one. A class with 40 students. Everyone is trying to sit straight in a very boring lecture, maybe like this one is happening. 1 hour passes by and the teacher leaves. No one is sure how many of the students understood, or even worse, even if they knew the topic which was being taught. This is, I guess, the normal scenarios in most of the classrooms. Teachers passionately share their knowledge with students on a particular subject through lessons and PPTs, and they try to give them a deeper understanding of the subject. But the problem with this kind of knowledge dispensation is that it's somewhere, there's an underpinning belief about knowledge as being fixed, and that knowledge is transferable, as if it is some file which can be transferred from one computer to another. And obviously, we later evaluate this knowledge based on our system of examination. Now, there's also scenario two. So let's daydream that one. A class again with 40 students or so, the only difference is there's no one-way instruction going on about the topic. No one is dutifully listening, recording, or noting down important points. Rather, students are talking and discussing and engaging on the questions asked by the educator here. They are discussing their opinions about the particular issue. The hour passes by, but the topic has now been extended or has been ingrained in the minds of students, where they will learn from time to time, engage with their fellow mates on the particular topic, or maybe extend it to a different level. The first case scenario is more of a traditional classroom setting. Teaching was thought to be a combination of information dispensing, custodial childcare, and sorting out academically inclined students from others. Teachers were told what, when, and how to teach. We were required to educate every student in exactly the same way. And we were not exactly held responsible or accountable on the many levels on which students may fail to learn. In the past, we have been expected to teach using the same methods as past generations, and any deviation from traditional practices was discouraged by supervisors or prohibited by myriad education laws and regulations. I certainly remember this movie Dead's Poet Society, which has highlighted the problems of using a different pedagogy for teaching. This many teachers simply stood in front of the class and delivered the same lessons year after year, growing gray and weary of not being allowed to change as to what they were doing. But gradually, these expectations are taking a backseat. If we see in the backdrop of globalization and rapid changing technological innovation, the fundamental premise of teachers as the conduit of knowledge is no longer valid. In recent years, cliches such as moving from sage on the stage to guide on the side have emerged to illustrate the awareness of the changes that are happening, focusing on the role of the teacher as more of a facilitator, guide, mentor, and coach. Students now are no more seen only as consumer of facts. Instead, they are active creators of knowledge. Prompted by massive revolutions in knowledge, information technology, and situations like the pandemic, has basically forced all of us to restructure ourselves. We are now encouraged to adapt and adopt new practices that acknowledge both the art and science of learning. It has become significantly important for us to understand that the essence of education is now a close relationship between a knowledgeable, caring adult and a secure, motivated child. It is now part of our teaching to get to know the student as an individual in order to comprehend their unique needs, their learning style, their social and cultural background, interest, and abilities. This new relationship between teachers and students takes the form of a different concept of instruction. Tuning into how students really learn prompts many teachers to reject teaching that is primarily lecture based in favor of the instruction that challenges students to take active role in learning. We can now no longer be at the center stage. And quite interestingly, when we take less space, we actually are able to listen more to the thinking of our students and will certainly be able to accomplish more by adapting to this role of an educational guide, facilitator, or more specifically to that of a co-learner. In the next section, we will discuss or talk about what it means to be a co-learner.